Descend a few hundred meters into the Indian Ocean, and sunlight completely disappears. The crushing pressure exceeds 30 atmospheres, and the water is pitch black. Yet navigating through this void is a machine the size of a city block. Above the surface, militaries rely on electromagnetic sensors to map the battlefield. But maritime radar cannot penetrate deep seawater. Once an object submerges, standard detection grids are completely blind to it. This creates a massive engineering anomaly, a 6,000-ton Leviathan carrying nuclear-tipped ballistic missiles, engineered to operate continuously without ever triggering a warning. Hiding a machine of this size presents a severe physical contradiction. The ocean is an incredibly efficient acoustic medium. Sound travels through water at roughly 1,500 meters per second, about 4.5 times faster than it does through the air. In an environment that naturally amplifies every vibration, the entire strategic value of this vessel relies on solving the physics of extreme noise suppression. This is INS Arihant, India's first domestically built, nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarine. Unlike conventional attack submarines built to hunt enemy ships, Arihant is designed strictly for deterrence. Its primary mission is not to attack, but to remain hidden. Naval architects classify this type of vessel as an SSBN, which stands for Ship Submersible Ballistic Nuclear. It is widely considered the most complex tier of naval engineering. To function, an SSBN must master 3 distinct physical domains: infinite nuclear propulsion, precise hydroacoustic stealth, and the integration of highly volatile strategic payloads within a pressurized hull. Deconstructing how INS Arihant achieves this requires looking at the specific thermodynamic and fluid dynamic systems that allow thousands of tons of steel to become functionally invisible. For over a century, the primary mechanical bottleneck of submarine warfare was propulsion. Conventional diesel-electric submarines require atmospheric oxygen to achieve the chemical combustion needed to run their engines. This strict chemical requirement forces diesel submarines to routinely surface or raise a snorkel to breathe. Every time they do, they expose themselves to radar and visual detection. INS Arihant bypasses the oxygen problem using a pressurized water reactor. Nuclear fission generates massive thermal energy inside a shielded compartment. This heats pressurized water, boiling a secondary supply into high-pressure steam. This steam drives the propulsion turbines in an infinite closed loop. Because this propulsion system is entirely self-contained, the submarine never needs to surface for air. It can remain deeply submerged for months, limited only by the amount of food stored on board and the psychological endurance of the crew. By replacing chemical combustion with nuclear fission, the vessel ceases to be a submersible surface ship. It becomes a permanent, untrackable platform operating continuously in the deep ocean. Infinite propulsion solves the problem of endurance, but staying submerged for months requires surviving an environment heavily patrolled by acoustic detection systems. The most direct threat is active sonar. Adversary ships and buoys emit high-frequency acoustic ping waves into the water and analyze the returning reflected sound to map underwater objects. The primary countermeasure is anechoic tiles, specialized acoustic dampening materials bonded to the outer steel hull. Their internal geometry features microscopic voids designed to trap incoming sonic energy. Instead of bouncing the ping back, the tile absorbs and diffuses the sound wave as heat. This specific application of material science drastically reduces the physical acoustic cross-section of the submarine, effectively blending a 6,000-ton object into the ambient background noise of the ocean. Structural material science forms the critical first layer of defense, decoupling the submarine's massive physical size from the detectable acoustic footprint it leaves behind. But active pings are only half the equation. The secondary, more dangerous threat is passive sonar, where adversaries deploy hydrophones to simply listen for a submarine generating its own mechanical noise. The loudest acoustic signature generated by any underwater vessel comes from the rapid rotation of its rear propeller blades pushing against the water. A heavy blade slicing through water creates a severe pressure drop over its trailing edge. The water instantly boils into vapor bubbles, an effect called cavitation. These vapor bubbles don't last long. When they violently implode under the surrounding water pressure, they generate loud, highly trackable acoustic shockwaves that can be heard from miles away. Arihant's propeller geometry is highly classified. This simulation shows an optimized, deeply swept-back blade managing water flow. By controlling hydrodynamic pressure gradients, it entirely suppresses vapor bubbles, allowing the massive blades to displace water in total silence. Mastering fluid dynamics down to the micrometer level is the exact mechanism that functionally erases the submarine's mechanical heartbeat from the ocean. Perfecting this stealth platform ultimately serves one specific purpose: safely carrying and deploying submarine-launched ballistic missiles, or SLBMs. Integrating vertical launch tubes into a submarine is structurally demanding. The outer pressure hull is already enduring thousands of tons of deep ocean compression forces, and carving massive cylindrical silos into that structure without compromising its integrity requires exact metallurgical precision. High-pressure gas violently ejects the multi-ton missile upward through the water column. Its primary rocket engines ignite only after breaching the ocean's surface. Once airborne, these payloads are capable of exiting the atmosphere and striking distant targets, originating from a coordinate that no enemy tracking system can verify. Combining infinite nuclear endurance, precise acoustic stealth, and submerged strike capability creates a weapon system that bypasses an adversary's ability to defend themselves preemptively. The micro-engineering of INS Arihant serves a macro-strategic purpose. It forms the final pillar of the nuclear triad, the three-pronged military structure that forms the bedrock of modern deterrence doctrine. The first leg of the triad relies on the land. Intercontinental ballistic missiles, like the Agni series, are deployed to project massive destructive power. The second leg is delivered by air. Strategic bomber aircraft and specialized fighter jets can deploy rapidly, providing a flexible and visible display of force. However, both land and air bases share inherent strategic vulnerability. Their geographical coordinates are known. With advanced satellite surveillance, an enemy could theoretically launch a coordinated, preemptive first strike to destroy these weapons before they are ever used. The sea-based leg, the SSBN, is designed as the ultimate failsafe to solve this exact geographic vulnerability. This map illustrates second strike capability, the guarantee of a catastrophic retaliatory response. Even if a nation's land-based silos are wiped out, the submarine survives. Constantly moving through an untrackable environment, it guarantees an enemy's first strike fails. The counterstrike is always waiting. True nuclear deterrence is not about the capacity to initiate destruction. It is forcing an adversary to realize an unstoppable counterattack is a mathematical certainty, ensuring the war is never started in the first place. Achieving a sovereign SSBN capability is a grueling, multi-decade engineering marathon. Only a handful of nations possess the industrial infrastructure to even attempt it. India's submarine ambitions took root during the tense geopolitical environment of the late Cold War, starting with leased vessels to build foundational operational experience. By the 1990s, the development of a domestic nuclear submarine moved into extreme operational secrecy. Thousands of naval architects, reactor specialists, and metallurgists collaborated in the shadows to build the massive, specialized dry dock infrastructure required to construct a nuclear vessel. Once the hull was assembled, it required years of rigorous, highly classified sea trials. Engineers had to safely validate the integration of a live nuclear core with the complex hydrodynamic systems in the unforgiving pressures of the open ocean. When INS Arihant finally achieved operational status in 2016, it was a sovereign technological triumph that permanently shifted the entire strategic power in the region. Yet INS Arihant is only the baseline. It serves as a functional proof of concept, establishing a permanent strategic presence beneath the sea. Future SSBN platforms currently under development are projected to be significantly larger in tonnage, allowing them to accommodate heavier, far more complex payload systems. These next-generation vessels will carry longer-range ballistic missiles, drastically expanding the geographical radius of their deterrence patrols. The principles mastered with Arihant, infinite thermodynamic endurance and precise anechoic stealth, will become more refined and absolute as these newer models take to the water. In the severe calculus of global survival, the most powerful weapon on Earth is the one an adversary knows exists but can never actually see.